You walked away from a conversation today, or last week, or this morning, and you felt something specific. A heaviness in your chest. A brain that wouldn't come back online. The strange certainty that you just lost a fight you couldn't remember starting. And underneath it, the quietest, most uncomfortable feeling of all. That you owed her an apology you didn't fully agree with. And you didn't know how that had happened. You felt small, even though you're bigger, older, and more successful than her. That exact feeling is what sent you to the search bar tonight. And I want to talk to that feeling, not the search, because the feeling is more honest. The search assumes you already know what happened. The feeling, if you sit with it for a second, hasn't decided yet. Most men who find this topic get it completely backwards, and that mistake costs them either the relationship or their self-respect, or both. What you're calling manipulation is doing too much work in your head. It's covering at least 3 completely different things, and most men never separate them. Picture 3 guys, same heaviness, same walk-away feeling. First guy, his girlfriend cried every time he tried to raise a real problem. Every conversation ended with him apologizing for bringing it up. 6 months in, he hadn't addressed a single real issue. Same move, same result, every time. That's manipulation. Second guy, his girlfriend snapped at him hard, said something that cut deep. He called it manipulation, but she just found out her mother was sick that morning. That wasn't a tactic. That was a scared person expressing pain badly. Third guy, his girlfriend told him he shuts down emotionally when things get hard. He called it manipulation in his head for 3 weeks until a close friend said the exact same thing, unprompted. That wasn't manipulation. That was a legitimate point he didn't want to hear. All 3 felt identical from the inside. The response to each one is completely different. So what actually causes that internal crash? Your nervous system hits overload. Something in the conversation, a tone, a phrase, a shift, and your thinking just stops. Face goes hot. Mind goes blank. Afterward, you can't reconstruct how you ended up apologizing for something you didn't think you did wrong. So you reach for an explanation, and the closest one is, she did something to me. Sometimes she did. Often your system just crashed, and manipulation gave you a story for why. Comforting story. Problem outside you. And that's exactly what makes it useless. Underneath the word manipulation, when men use it about someone they're close to, think about the household you grew up in. Maybe there was a woman whose emotional weather ran the whole house. Not abusively, just centrally. When she was okay, the air was okay. When she wasn't, everyone felt it. You learned before you had words for it to read her state. Apologize before you understood what for. Absorb tension that wasn't yours. There's a guy I know ran a team of 12 at work. Sharp under pressure, cool in every room. But in arguments with his girlfriend, he'd completely dissolve. Couldn't form a thought. Would agree to things, apologize for things, then sit in his car afterward not knowing what had just happened. He'd grown up with a mother whose mood could shift the energy of a house in seconds. 20 years later, that radar was still running. His girlfriend's voice changed pitch, thinking shut down. Survival protocol kicked in. She didn't install that radar. She just walked into the room with the right voltage to set it off. So the question changes shape entirely, and this is where most men take the wrong turn. It stops being, how do I detect her tactics, and becomes, how do I stay myself when she's upset? The first turns every interaction into surveillance. The second is regulation work, slower, less satisfying, and the only thing that actually works. Because the internal crash is what makes you vulnerable to both real manipulation and to misreading ordinary conflict as manipulation. Settle the nervous system, and the whole landscape simplifies. There's one internal move that changes everything. Just one. And it's simpler than you think. When your thinking goes underwater, pause internally and name it. I'm flooding right now. That sentence, said quietly inside you, is the entire skill. Once you've named it, you have a second. And in that second, you don't make a permanent decision from a temporary state. You say one honest sentence out loud, calm, not cold. I hear you. I want to think about this properly before I respond. Not stonewalling, not surrendering, just buying yourself time to come back online. An hour later, what felt unbearable was usually just a normal disagreement you couldn't process while overloaded. Real manipulation exists, and most men miss its pattern until it's too late. It's not a bad day or a clumsy argument. It's deliberate, patterned across months, moving you repeatedly in a direction that benefits her at your expense. Same move, same result, like that first guy. 6 months, not one real issue resolved. When you see that pattern from a calm state, the read is unambiguous, and so is the right move. You leave. Not as a power move, as basic care for yourself. The skill that protects you from real manipulators is the exact same skill that lets you stay close to someone you love when they're having a hard day. Not two different muscles. One. The man who learns to stay above water in hard conversations becomes simultaneously harder to manipulate and more capable of real love. Not because he got harder, because he got clearer. So if the crash keeps coming back, ask the honest question. Is it a pattern a friend would immediately hear as wrong? Then it's manipulation. You don't need a video, you need an exit. Or is it that you can't think straight around her, even though nothing she did was obviously cruel? Then the work is closer to home. The radar firing is older than her, older than the relationship. It's not a defect. It got installed before you had a vote. And you can rewire it, slowly, by learning to stay in difficulty without going under. You don't need her to change. You just need to stop drowning.